All right, so by now you probably know that I like to work in the smallest possible units when I'm writing scripts, and this one's no exception. So instead of inserting all the cross-references, I'm just going to insert one to make sure that it works. And I'm going to put my cursor right here in this bulleted paragraph, and I'm just going to insert a single cross-reference to make sure it works programmatically. So let's go to our script here, and the way I've set this up is I just have this small shell script here. I've got the main function like before. I've got the process doc. I've got my cursor, a variable for the paragraph where my cursor is. And the marker text here, I'm just going to hard code this. And this is pointing to the second heading paragraph. Because again, I want to make sure that this is going to work before I turn it loose on the whole document and do all the cross references. And so then I'm going to call a function here, add xref. And I'm passing in the paragraph object, the cross-reference format that I want to use, and I'm going to just use heading and page. And then I have this marker text that I'm going to pass in because I need that, and then the document object. And then finally on line 30, I'm going to actually update the cross-references after they're all inserted, and I'm going to refresh the screen on line 31. And here's my add xref function. I'm going to create a text location at the beginning of that paragraph. I'm going to insert the cross-reference. And if the object is valid, in other words, if it inserts correctly, then I'm going to set the xref source text property to the marker text. And those are the two properties that tie everything together with a cross-reference. You've got your cross-ref marker text and this internal property xref source text. And then finally, I'm going to return the cross-reference in case I want to do something with it later. So let's go ahead and see if this thing works. So I'm going to put my cursor here. I've already added this to my script palette, and I'm just going to go ahead and run it. And you can see it works. So this cross-reference is actually pointing to this heading 2 here. And if I Control-Alt-click on it, you can see the cursor. It actually highlights that marker. And so I know how to programmatically insert a single cross-reference. Now there's a couple things to be aware of here. Let's look at this script and see. The one thing is if this particular cross-reference format does not exist, you won't get a cross-reference. It won't add it. So this heading and page exists in the document, and because of that it does insert the cross-reference. Now if we picked a format that doesn't exist, let's just add an X after this, save the changes, we'll go back to the script. We'll delete this cross-reference and let's run this again. And we're not going to get anything because what ends up happening is this fails here because the xref object is not valid because it can't insert a cross-reference with an unknown or a cross-reference format that doesn't exist. And there's no format in here called heading and page X. So one of the things you can do is if you're going to use a unique format for your cross-references, you could have a function that makes sure that exists. If it doesn't, it can create it. So that's one way of doing it. And let's just save that and let's try that again. And there we go. So in the next video, we'll show you how to go through and just process all of these at once.